This is my Ring of Honor / New Japan Pro Wrestling presents Global Wars Night 1 Internet Pay-Per-View Review. As far as my thoughts on Global Wars Night 1, I thought this was a hell of a show from Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was their, second year of doing interpromotional shows between each other, and obviously their relationship with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling just keeps getting better, because when you look at the card that they gave us tonight for Global Wars, just going into it, and then look at what they gave us last year, which we saw some really good stuff last year with the Ring of Honor and New Japan shows. But this year, you looked at the card, especially for this night, it felt like what, a Ring of Honor and New Japan show should feel like, which was a super card, like an extravaganza that people need to go out their way to see, just with the lineup. And this show did not disappoint. When you look at the card going into it, really only one match stood out as we could deal without having that on there, and that was the match they finished real early in the show. It was actually the opener, which was Gedo and Moose taking on Watanabe and Silas Young. That was the only match on the whole entire show that was awful. And the only other match that was a little bit disappointing, and this is only due to the fact that there was flight issues with Bobby Fish not being able to be there, so we weren't able to see Red Dragon in tag team competition. So what they did was the match that had Chris Sabin and Kishida against each other, they threw that and changed that into a triple threat and threw Kyle O'Reilly in there. So the Fatal 4-Way match that originally was going to have Red Dragon, which had RPG Vice in there, The Decade, and Addiction, which if Red Dragon was in there, that match would have been a whole lot better. It wasn't a terrible match when it got turned into a triple threat match due to Red Dragon not being able to have Bobby Fish there to have him in there, but it would have been much better. And that was probably the only thing that was a little bit disappointing. But what you saw on here was a hell of a main event with the ROH All-Stars versus Bullet Club. That was a fun match. I mean, especially for the live crowd, I know they probably loved it, and it came off great on internet pay-per-view as well, which, speaking of, that's the one thing probably a lot of people were worried about going into this, was since this wasn't done through Ustream and this was done through Ring of Honor's website, probably some people were worried that there might be issues with the stream. Thankfully, there was only like a few kinks. There was only a few problems in the whole entire show. You didn't really lose that much of. You didn't lose the stream. There was probably only one point where you lost it, maybe for a few seconds, and that was during, unfortunately, Elgin and Tanahashi. But you didn't miss that much action in there. And then during the Okada and Cedric Alexander match, there was lighting issues, but that might not have been Ring of Honor's fault there. That might have just been the building they were doing the show in. But those were the only issues they had in the whole entire show as far as the stream went for Ring of Honor doing the stream for Global Wars Night 1. But the match of the night easily went to the match I was looking forward to the most, which I would probably say was the Elgin and Tanahashi match. Was probably almost worth the price of admission alone. That was great stuff. That's probably the closest that we'll ever see, a Tanahashi New Japan feel main event within Ring of Honor with Tanahashi in a match, because you would think that maybe because him working in the USA and working with Ring of Honor, you thought, maybe he would hold it back a bit, because obviously New Japan doesn't want their big star to get hurt, but it was a hell of a match. And then a number of other great things on the show. So from top to bottom, you saw a great show. But let me get into my review, which the only thing that was bad, which was the first match, which Ring of Honor almost treated kind of like a pre-show match, even though it wasn't, a pre-show for the pay-per-view, but this pretty much felt like a pre-show match, which was Gedo and Moose taking on Watanabe and Silas Young. I do like Silas Young a lot, but this match just didn't do much for me. Moose is over with the crowd pretty much wherever he goes, and I do got to say, for a guy that probably 6 months ago was very green in the ring, he's improved a whole lot, and I think it's a smart idea for him to go the indie route, work Ring of Honor, and then slowly, obviously, what he wants to do is try to transition go into NXT and then go to the main roster of WWE. But maybe with them signing Uhaa Nation recently, that might hurt him some bit, because there's a lot of people that will make a comparison with Moose and Uhaa Nation just because the way they work and how agile they are. But Uhaa Nation is a whole lot better. The match was watchable at best. Moose picks up the match after hitting the spear to Silas Young, and about 1.5 star match, the weakest match of the night, and thankfully they got it away at first on the show, even though I would say the next match or maybe the Kingdoms match should have been the opener, just because I always feel that you need to go out your way and get the crowd into the show with your opener. And when you have a weak opener, that does kind of hurt it just a bit. But at least they got it done with quick. Then the next matchup was, originally it was going to be Chris Sabin versus Kushida in a singles match. Turned into a triple threat with Kyle O'Reilly being in the match as well, because Bobby Fish not be able to make the show, so Kyle O'Reilly couldn't participate in the Fatal 4-Way match that he was originally going to be in, with Bobby Fish teaming up with as Red Dragon. And this was a really fun match. Great stuff from Sabin and Kushida, like you would expect. Kyle O'Reilly, a lot of stiff strikes from him. Very, very good, beautiful regal suplex from Kyle O'Reilly here. Just a fun match, and it would have been a match that I would say should have been the opener of the show, just because it was just the fun back and forth action that really gets the crowd into it, and really enjoyed that triple threat a lot. And Kushida picks up the win after Sabin submits, and about 3 1/4 stars, 3.5 stars. Then the next matchup was the match that really surprised me the most, which was the Kingdom of Matt Taven and Michael Bennett versus Matt Sydal and Jushin Thunder Liger. The two reasons why this really surprised me was, Ring of Honor and New Japan, they both know how to use Jushin Thunder Liger. Either put him in, a match where he's going to be just showcased and not do too much, or put him in a tag team match, and he did really well in here. The Kingdom looked great in here. Obviously they are the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, and just a lot of fun stuff in here. Matt Sydal, there was a lot of memorable spots in here. Matt Sydal was going for the shooting star press onto Michael Bennett, and Taven hit him with a super kick while he was about to hit it. That was beautiful. And then you had Maria trying to help out Taven and Bennett, distracting Jushin Liger. That was entertaining fucking shit right there. And just a fun tag match, and just what pretty much every tag match should feel like. If you're not going to have a tag match that's going to be like match of the year or anything like that, just have a fun match, and that's what this was. And just a lot of great stuff in here. And the Kingdom picks up the win after hitting the spike pile driver to Matt Sydal. And I would say about 3.5 star match. Really fun stuff right there. And then the next matchup was Cedric Alexander versus Okada. Now, during this match, it only affected a little bit. There was some lighting issues within this match. Two parts in the match, the lights went out, but you didn't really miss much action because they weren't doing much at that point. And Okada kind of played into it really well when it first happened. He was about to do the DDT to the floor to Cedric Alexander. Was waiting for the lights to come back on. Then when the lights came back on, he smiled to the crowd, then hit the DDT to the floor to Cedric Alexander. I love the one counter that Cedric Alexander did in this match. You had Okada going for his finisher, the Rainmaker, onto Cedric Alexander here, and then Cedric Alexander, gets out of it, springboard DDT to Okada, and just great stuff right there. Good back and forth action, a lot of good mat work here, and Okada picks up the win after hitting the Rainmaker to Cedric Alexander in a very, very fun match. Definitely going up into this point of the show, this was the best match so far up to this point of the show. About 3 4 stars, maybe even 4 stars. I really enjoyed that match a lot, and definitely a match I would say go out your way to see from this show. Then the next matchup was this was originally going to be a Fatal 4-Way match, but it turned into a triple threat tag team match with RPG Vice of Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero versus The Decade versus Addiction. Red Dragon was supposed to be in this as well, but as I said, Bobby Fish had flight problems, so he couldn't make it, so it turned into a triple threat, which obviously hurt the quality of the match, because if Red Dragon was in here, I think this could have been a much better match. Wouldn't have been anything like a match of the night or anything like that, but it would have been much better with them not being in it and the weak finish to the match. It just seemed like a little above average, match that you would expect. All these people in there, you'd expect a little more from it. The Addiction pick up the win. They steal the victory from RPG Vice. So maybe setting up, Addiction versus RPG Vice for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. I don't know if we'll see that. We probably won't see that in New Japan, but we will be probably seeing that in the future in Ring of Honor at some point. But with the talent in there, it should have been just a little bit better. 2 and 3/4 stars, and the ending kind of came off weak, even though it made sense for the Addiction because them being heels now. It made sense them getting the cheap victory, but the ending just fell flat, I thought. But you saw some good stuff in it, though. Then the next matchup was ACH versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a match I was looking forward to a whole lot going in the show, and I would say it didn't disappoint. Some people might say they were expecting a little more from it, but it pretty much delivered what I thought it was going to be, which was, Nakamura being the most charismatic motherfucker from Japan. And ACH, I mean, he's really come into his own within the last year or so. He used to just be, the guy that went out there and did flips and stuff like that. And to a degree, some people might still make the argument that's all he still does. But I would say he's kind of, grown a personality to a degree. And he's, somewhat, and he's definitely charismatic. And I think Nakamura loved working with him in this match. Just really fun stuff from here. A lot of high spots from ACH like you would expect. Nakamura doing great, playing to the crowd. Probably no one currently plays to the crowd as well as Nakamura. That's like one of the best attributes to him, that he plays to the crowd so well. So a lot of wrestlers just do not know how to do it as well, and he does it. And he's a charismatic performer, and he's a great wrestler as well. And just great stuff here from ACH and Nakamura. And Nakamura, obviously, you knew was going to pick up the victory in this match. He picks up the victory after hitting the Bombier to ACH in here. And, about 3 and 3/4 stars, maybe 4-star match. Some people would say they were expecting a little more from it, but pretty much I got what I was expecting from it, which was just a fun, entertaining match with, a lot of, crazy spots from ACH and Nakamura just being Nakamura, and that's what it was. And it was just a really fun match. Enjoyed it a whole lot. Then the next matchup was the match that really surprised me how good it was. This was Naito versus Jay Lethal for the ROH TV title. This was really good. I know there's a lot of people that aren't fans of Naito, and I can understand because the way New Japan booked Naito not that long ago, and it was pretty much shoving him down our throats, pretty much like WWE has done in the past with John Cena, and still does to a degree with John Cena. And that's why some people aren't fans of Naito. But Naito, in my opinion, even with New Japan, and not that long ago, shoving him down our throats, he's still a good performer, and I like him in the ring a lot. I've really never been on, the hate Naito bandwagon like a lot of other New Japan fans are. And I think he's a good performer. And Lethal, looked like $1 million in this match. And the way they ended the match, it made both of them look very strong. You did one spot in here, which was a really good counter from Jay Lethal. And here you had him going for the lethal injection on Naito. Naito blocked it. It looked like he was going to go for a dragon suplex. And then Lethal got out of that, then hit lethal combination. Naito kicked out of that. And then the match ends with Lethal hitting the lethal injection and pretty much falling on top of Naito, getting just, the victory out of nowhere. And he gets the win over Naito, which is a big win that, pretty big star from New Japan Pro Wrestling puts over Jay Lethal, but at the same time they, made Naito look very strong in here. He did not look weak, losing to Lethal, and this is obviously the biggest win of Jay Lethal's career and just keeps on adding to the prestige of his ROH TV title run. And then Lethal played a little part at the end of the show, which I'll get into, but a really fun match with Naito and Jay Lethal, 3 and 3/4 stars, a match that really surprised me. I was expecting it to be good, but not as good as it actually turned out to be. Then the next matchup was the match of the night. This was the match I was looking forward to the most, and I'm probably not the only one that was looking forward to the most. This was Michael Elgin versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. This was just great stuff. As I said earlier on, this is probably the closest that we've seen and probably will ever see to a Tanahashi New Japan main event feel match within Ring of Honor. And, Michael Elgin, I'm hoping at some point, is given a shot from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe give him a shot for the G1 Climax later this summer. Hopefully with this match right here, even though he didn't pick up the win, which no one thought Tanahashi was going to lose to Michael Elgin, but they did a great job of making you believe that Elgin was actually going to win this match, even though no one expected him to win it. But they did a hell of a job making it look like he was going to win it. You saw Tanahashi hit the high fly flow outside the ring onto Michael Elgin. And then you saw the part where it looked like they were really playing into it. Elgin actually had a shot to win. Was Elgin took one high fly flow to the back, and then Tanahashi, rolled him over, went back up for the high fly flow a second time. Elgin put up his knees, and then after that, slowly after that, you saw the buckle bomb to the corner. And then right when it was about to, looking like that Elgin was going to do the spinning set down power bomb, Tanahashi catches him with, catches him with the spinning lariat, takes him down, and then goes up for the high fly flow, hits it a second time. So Tanahashi picks up the win here. Fun match, easily match of the night, match everyone needs to go out their way to see, and easily the match of the night of the whole entire show. 4 and 1/4 stars. Fun stuff. Great stuff from Elgin and Tanahashi. Now just hope that not Ring of Honor, but New Japan Pro Wrestling gives Michael Elgin a shot at some point in the future. If not, if he doesn't get his shot, just working Tanahashi is probably already a highlight of Elgin's career already. And then the main event was the 10-man tag with the ROH All-Stars of Roderick Strong, the Briscoes, and War Machine of Hanson and Rowe versus the Bullet Club of Doc Gallows, Machine Gun Karl Anderson, AJ Styles, and the Young Bucks. And this was just craziness. That's all I gotta say is, balls to the wall, fun, great shit. There was so much action that obviously I can't go into all, but just what you would expect with this type of match and it being the main event. It felt like a lot of, the old, 06, 07 era of Ring of Honor, and even early Ring of Honor, where they did like a lot of 8-man tags, and they were just fucking crazy. Where there was so much action going on around the ring and inside the ring that they couldn't catch all the action, and just so much stuff was going on. And they made Hanson look like $1 million in here. I mean, Hanson is probably the one person out of this match coming out of it that looked even stronger. With them having, the Bullet Club, all 5 of them hit a super kick onto Hanson. Hanson kicking out of that, then taking a lot of other finishers from them and still being able to kick out. They made him look very, very strong. And love seeing Machine Gun Karl Anderson, Doc Gallows against War Machine in here. That was great stuff. AJ Styles did some great stuff as well, like you would expect. And the Young Bucks, are obviously the most over tag team in the whole entire world. The crowd just loved this match from beginning to end, and it was just great stuff. And never expected Mark Briscoe to actually be the one to pick up the pinfall for the Ring of Honor side. Obviously, you knew with it being a Ring of Honor show, even though it's a joint co-promotional show with New Japan Pro Wrestling, you knew the Ring of Honor side was going to win, but definitely didn't expect Mark Briscoe to pick up the win. At the end of the match, the Ring of Honor side with Roderick Strong and the Briscoes and War Machine and Hanson, a number of them hit their finishers, and then Mark Briscoe ends up pinning Matt Jackson for the win. Just a fun main event, 4 stars. Just an exciting main event that everyone needs to see. A lot of people are just going to say it's one of those main events where it's just a lot of moves going on, and that's all it was. But it was just fun stuff, and I just loved every minute of it. And this show, definitely people need to go out their way to see. Overall, I would give the show about an 8.5, maybe even an 8.75 out of 10. And that's it for my Ring of Honor / New Japan Pro Wrestling Global Wars Night 1 Internet Pay-Per-View review. All right, peace.